guys, this is Lauren with Weladiesthree, and it's my turn to do a video entry. Yay! So, I've been kind of in a reading slump lately, and one of the things that I do when I just don't know what else to read is I go back through and I look at books that I know I enjoy and books that I have come back to before, and I try to find commonalities, things that these books have in common, different themes or character interactions or styles of writing. And so I was doing that, and one of the things that popped up to me lately was this theme of selflessness or self-sacrifice. And so I thought I would share some of the characters and their sacrifices that I know I love with y'all, and see if y'all can maybe give me some ideas or some recommendations for books I might like in the future. I challenged myself on this list to not include any Tamara Pierce or Elizabeth Moon or Mercedes Lackey, because those are some of my favorites far and away that I just keep coming back to over and over. But if they were going to be on this list, I would definitely point out Tamara Pierce's Protector of the Small series, and Elizabeth Moon's Deeds of Paxenarian, and Mercedes Lackey's Heirs of the Queen. But they're not on this list. So, what's actually on the list? Good question, I'm glad you asked. I've divided this list into 3 approximate sections based on the type of sacrifice that these characters are making. And in the first section is characters who actually give their lives, who die for a cause or to protect people or for something greater than themselves. Heads up, there will be spoilers. Ye be warned. This first section, my first choice was from Guy Gabriel Kay's Fiona of Our Tapestry series. And it's about these 5 college students from Earth, from our world, who come and they are transported to Fiona of Our, which is an alternate world. And they are, of course, expected to save the day, many heroes, hurrah! But it gets a little more complicated than that, because by about midway through the second book, so right in the middle of the series, Fiona of Our has been covered in this spell of winter and ice and snow, and one of the 5 college students, his name is Kevin, he has, to this point, he's been lighthearted, he's been flirty, kind of comic relief almost, and in order to break this spell, because it's the middle of summer and it's harvest and people are dying because nobody expected the snow and they don't know how to deal with it, he literally walks to his death with a smile on his face. And that was really striking to me when I read it, that he is by far the most likable character that you've encountered to this point. His reaction to anything is to smile or to laugh it off, and he's made the most relationships, and you don't see a whole lot of him. Like, his point of view isn't really prevalent before this, but you like him. And he goes and he walks and he dies. And it doesn't quite come out of nowhere, but it pretty well comes out of nowhere. So it's pretty surprising when you're reading through it that he has given up all these relationships and all of the promise that he's had on Earth to go and make the sacrifice for Fiona of Our. Later on in the series, you meet this other character named Darian, and he is the product of torture and rape, and nobody really likes him. Like, his mother gives him up, she doesn't raise him herself, and the people who adopt him, through no fault of their own, they end up abandoning him, and he has this really stark path to walk between good and evil, just based on who he is and what's happened to him. And the whole last book is basically his journey to find a place to belong. And so you get to the end of the series, and he goes and he makes this sacrifice, and ultimately he's actually murdered by his own father. But his whole quest is to find this place to belong, and his sacrifice to accomplish that is what ends up saving the day. His sacrifice is what ends up saving Fiona of Our, and it's really incredible, the journey that he walks through to get there. Also in the series, I put Triss, Beatrice Pryor, from Veronica Roth's Divergent series. I almost didn't include her because throughout the whole series it seemed to me like she kind of had this death wish, that she was not quite suicidal, but almost. The risks that she took and the things that she did to put herself in danger, she did kind of without thinking. Like, that was her first inclination. Like, she didn't really have a whole lot going for her. But by the end of the 3rd book, she has found things she's willing to live for. things that she's going to not risk herself for, things to protect and to keep living for. And it's at that point that she actually makes her sacrifice. She lays down her life to protect these people that she's come to care for and the things that she wants to live for. She ends up dying to protect them. So that's why she actually ended up making the list, because even though she had found these things to live for, she was still willing to die for them. Second category is characters who were willing to sacrifice themselves and weren't actually called upon to do so, sort of. The first one I almost put in the first category, and that would be Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia, because he did actually go and lay down his life. He went to the stone table and he died. But as Monty Python would say, he got better. He was returned the next day, and the stone table cracked, and the deeper magic was revealed, and Lucy and Susan, even though they'd gone through that terrible night, the trauma, the emotional turmoil of Aslan was dead, there's this grief that was really only matched by the joy the next morning when Aslan was returned to them. I've always kind of identified with that and wondered what that was like, the darkness that came that night, and then the joy and the light and the life that was come the next morning. It's always been pretty incredible. Anyway, next in this same section of willing to lay down their lives but didn't necessarily have to, I chose Kazriel from Lois McMaster Bujold's Curse of Chelion series, and from the Curse of Chelion book. Kazriel might just top this list, because not once, not twice, but 3 times in one book, he did something. He put himself in a situation where he was willing to die. Like, he thought in that moment, okay, this is it, I'm going to die. And he went in there knowing that, even to the frustration of the people in the book who care about him, the other characters who love him. He did that to protect them and to protect this cause that he was fighting for. And so the incredible sacrifices that he makes through that whole book are highly, highly recommend that series. Moving on to the next section. This last category is a little bit more flexible, I guess. It's a little harder to explain. It's characters who sacrifice something a little less tangible than their own lives. You'll see what I mean when I actually explain what is going on with them. First up is the series that caused the kind of reading slump that I'm in right now, and that is Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses series. Right at the end of the second book, the main character, Feyre, has a choice to make. I'm going to be a little bit more vague on this one because Chelsea hasn't actually finished the series, but if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Up to this point, pretty much everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. The characters, Feyre and the people that she cares about, are in a deep puddle of you-know-what. And she has been working through, especially through the second book, she's been working really hard to establish some sort of stability, some emotional and mental stability, and safety and happiness, and wanting to dream bigger than what she has. And Feyre sacrifices that. She puts that aside, she puts on this mask to go back into the situation she'd already escaped from once, and she does it to protect the people she cares about. So that's why she is on this list. Second, I chose Kate Daniels, who's the titular character in Ilona Andrews' Kate Daniels series. In the third book here, there is a choice Kate makes. She and her friends are in a situation where the secret that Kate has kept her whole life, pretty much, it is the knowledge that she's hidden that allows her to live a fairly normal life. She can either, she's put in a situation where she can either reveal this knowledge, act in a way that would reveal this knowledge, and let her secret loose on the world, and basically say goodbye to any chance of a normal life she's had, or she can hide it, and perhaps let her friends and the people she cares about die. And obviously, she makes the sacrifice, and she reveals this knowledge, or she acts in this way to reveal this knowledge, and she sacrifices that to keep them safe. You'll have to read the series. It's really well written, very engaging, just a fun urban fantasy series. And the last character in this section that I wanted to go over is Frodo from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And there's a quote, I've got it pulled up to read to you because I feel like it summarizes so well why Frodo's sacrifice here is so special to me. Frodo's talking to Sam, and he says, "So I thought too, once, but I had been too deeply hurt, Sam. I had tried to save the Shire, and it has been saved, but not for me. And it must often be so, Sam, when things are in danger. Someone has to give them up, lose them, so that others may keep them." Frodo gives up his innocence and his home, and has gained this damage, these scars from his journey, his quest. He sacrificed his mental and emotional well-being, and he changed so much over the course of his journey that even when he survived, he beat the odds, he made it to the end, he accomplished what he set out to do, he still lost his home. He had changed so much that he just couldn't fit back in, and when he got home, it just wasn't a home for him anymore. And that has always been really special to me, that idea of not being able to go home, not having a home for him to return to. And so that's why he's on this list. There are lots more characters I could have picked. There are a lot more sacrifices, especially heroic sacrifices where people literally lay down their lives for their friends and their family and their loved ones. If you have any of those suggestions for me, please send them my way. I would totally love to check some of them out. Fairly obviously, this is one of the tropes that I keep coming back to. I'm always open to trying new books. Check out our blog at weladiesthree.wordpress.com for more articles and topics, and Chelsea and Brenda and I post a bunch of variety of topics, and it's a lot of fun. So come check us out, and thank you for watching. Bye!